Hello, welcome back. So, I'm telling the story about how I run a six-figure business while also teaching full time. And I guess the overall theme is what I noticed is that I didn't really need more time to work on my business. And I think that's kind of the belief. It's like if you're an academic and you're thinking about building a business or you already have a business and you're trying to figure out how to grow it, you think, oh, if only I had a little more time to work on my business, then I could be more and more successful. And I kind of want to spread more of the message of maybe you don't actually need more time, but you need to make sure you have the right system to maximize the time that you already have. So if you haven't met me, I am Dr. Toyin Alli. I'm a senior lecturer. I'm a business strategist, and I call myself a proud professorpreneur. I help academics build semester-proof businesses that grow without burning them out. So if you've ever asked yourself, how would I even have time to grow a business on top of my academic work? Then you're absolutely not alone. Almost everyone thinks that. And when I tell people about my business, they're like, how are you doing that? So for me, I don't have to like find the time to work on my business. I design my business to fit within the time that I already have. It's like, these are my constraints. What can I build within those? So I'm not really talking about like business theory or anything, but actual practical things that I did to grow my business and how I was still able to achieve academic success and like stay on my career trajectory while also doing this other thing, which is like not necessarily promoted in academia. It's like it feels very like taboo to do something outside of your academic work. But while I was growing my business, I was still doing well in my academic space. I got promoted a year early. I won two teaching awards. I redesigned the course that I teach most of the time. And but also while I was doing that, my business revenue eventually matched my faculty salary. I was very pleased with that. And then it has since surpassed my faculty salary. And I was able to do that academics and growing my business while spending just 5 hours a week on my business. And it's not because I'm a superhuman, while I am very good at time management, but it was really because I just did the stuff that mattered. I didn't focus on all of the extra things that you learn about when you learn about growing an online business. I just stuck with the stuff that worked and kind of put my blinders on. And so I do think that requires a bit of a mindset shift because often we think, okay, if I had more time to work on my business, I would get more and better results. But as academics, we don't often have more time, right? Typically during the semester, we have a fairly structured schedule. We have grading to do, we have meetings, service responsibilities, things that happen last minute, and also students who need us. So I had to stop thinking like, I'll do it when I have more time because really the more time doesn't really happen. Just maybe occasionally it does. And you can't really run a business on occasionally. So I had to get out of the I'll do it when I have more time mindset and instead ask myself, okay, well, what can I build now that's going to keep working? Even when I'm deep into midterms or I'm going to conferences and things like that. So maybe, so let's actually talk about when I had like the busiest semester of my life. I would say the busiest semester of my life was 2021. So the initial transition to teaching online wasn't too hard because I had already flipped my courses. I had video lectures for everything that I had taught. So that wasn't too bad. But somehow when I got into 2021, things got a bit more hectic for me. I felt like I had more responsibilities. I was like on more committees and I was going up for promotions. It was just like a lot going on. And like the craziest thing that happened in 2021 was that was when I made my first six-figure year in my business. I was like, wow, I'm spending less time than I ever had before on my business. and I'm making more than I ever had. And it was because of the work that I had put into my business in the years prior, of course, but it was also because of the systems that I created that helped me generate revenue when I didn't have the time to actually do a quote unquote revenue generating activity. And so often, academic life or academia, it kind of conditions us to believe that success equals like overwork, right? It kind of feels like the people who are most successful in academia are like doing the most work. And sometimes that can show up in our business as well. It's like we feel like we need to do the most work in our business to be able to achieve success. And for me, the way that showed up was because I'm an academic and I love learning, I was going to take that business course. Every online course that comes out on a different strategy that I hadn't tried or hadn't learned, I would take the course and learn all about it and then try to like implement it into my business. And what I noticed was that made my business grow even slower, trying to do multiple strategies at once. So I had to figure out, okay, well, which strategy works best for me and my schedule and in the constraints that I have? And how can I just do that? Instead of hustling harder, I just focused on building a system that runs even when I'm not available. So, like, one of my favorite things that happens is when I'll be in the middle of teaching a class and I'm really big into active learning. So, I'll have my students maybe pair up or work in groups and start working on something to answer a question. And I'm like keeping track of the time on my phone. And I look on my phone and I see that I have an email from my online like business learning software where someone has purchased my grad school prep course, or I have an email that someone requested to join my community, or I have an email that someone bought my semester proof business course. And it's because of the systems that I have set up and the work that I had done previously that keeps working for me. And so I don't have to do a specific action to receive business revenue or profit. The actions have already been taken asynchronously, and then they run from now on. So I've tested this, I've traveled, I've taught full time, I've had weeks where I didn't touch my business, but because the system is in place, sales still came in, the people I helped still got served, my students that I teach at my university, they still get the best professor ever, and I still had peace. Okay, so let's talk about how I make it work in just 5 hours a week. So once I stopped thinking that I had to do everything and got clear on what actually moved the needle in my business, yes, I did a whole like spreadsheet where I tracked all my numbers for a year and I figured out what worked for me. It came down to 3 main profitable tasks, and that's it. And so when I say profitable, I mean like these are the tasks that directly lead to revenue, community growth, and impact. And those were the 3 things that I cared about the most in my business. So let's jump into these 3 things. Okay, so the first one was my YouTube videos that feed into my funnel. Now, it doesn't have to be YouTube videos for you, but the fact that it feeds into your funnel is the most important part. So, my YouTube channel is where I establish authority, it's where I connect with people that specifically the people that I'm meant to serve and help through my business. And strategically, those videos led straight to my free resources. So my free resources are the things that people get value out of just by giving me their email address. So my videos would lead to my free resources and my evergreen offers, meaning I don't have to do anything for people to get the result that my offers offer. They work without me, right? These are things like courses, workshops, templates, and resources and things like that. And so it really wasn't about going viral. I think my biggest YouTube video has about, I want to say 20K views at this point, and this is like over 7 years. It was my How to Become a College Professor video. So it's not really about going viral or anything. It's about creating content that keeps working behind the scenes. So what ends up happening is my YouTube channel, The Academic Society, helps grad students with time management and productivity. And so when students get accepted to grad school, they start Googling, like, what do I do to prepare for grad school? What is expected of me in grad school? And when they Google that, they find my videos. And then they always say, I've been binge watching your channel. So they binge watch my YouTube channel. They sign up for my resources. They're on my email list. And that brings me to number two. So, my number two profitable activity is my weekly newsletters that build connection. So, I send emails out to people who have signed up for my email list. And so, my emails, they aren't just like announcements. Here's what's happening in my life. Here is what's happening in my business. It's how I'm nurturing those relationships. It's how I'm showing that I'm supporting the people who sign up. So, I do share stories, I share behind the scenes insights, and I just give value and help my audience feel seen. But also, I sell in those emails, I sell my offers. And so, because I am consistent, not necessarily working and then that work immediately shows up. It's like I'm working asynchronously, but then that work shows up consistently for my audience members. So because I'm consistent, they remember me when they are ready to purchase. Like, oh man, I'm ready to go to grad school. I really need to know what to expect. I'm like, oh my goodness, Toyin has that prep course. I should probably buy it because she's been so helpful so far. And then my number three profitable thing that I do in my business is just engaging inside of my community. So engaging wherever the warm leads live. So these are the people who already know about me and my business and just engaging, nurturing them. So for my grad students, I have my #GradBoss Learning community where I help them. I've posted in there every week and I ask them what are their top 3 things that they're working on this week in grad school. And then I check back in and I ask them, how'd it go? Did you make progress on any of these things? And they really appreciate that. And it also holds them accountable. So engaging in these communities is where the connection turns into trust. And they're like, okay, I'm ready to purchase this thing. So you don't really need a huge following for that. You just need the right people in the right place. And so those are the 3 main things that I do in my business. And everything else that makes my business run is completely automated. I have funnels that lead people from my free content to my low ticket offers. I have templates. I have standard operating procedures and email sequences that really do the heavy lifting. So that is what I have set up in the background, the part that people don't see. In my 6-figure professor program, I talk about how there's things that is kind of like above the surface that the world sees that you're doing, what it looks like you're doing when you're running your business, but there's these things that happen underneath, and that automated stuff, that's like the underneath stuff. And so that's how I get to go on vacation and get promoted and do all of these things and still have time to, or still have my business running in the background. And I believe that I set up my business this way because I have really strong boundaries. And a lot of people will think that boundaries mean that you are restricted, you're holding yourself back from things. But my viewpoint is really that boundaries equal freedom, right? Because I've set such strong boundaries around my academic life and my business life, I actually have time to do both, right? In my academic life, I don't check emails outside of work hours. My students know if they email me after 5 p.m., I will get back to them in the morning. I don't say yes to opportunities just because they sound prestigious. I'm not really wired that way. I'm just going to say yes to the things that are in alignment with what I see as my academic trajectory and my business trajectory, and not necessarily the things that look good and sound prestigious. If they aren't part of my goals and my plans, I will typically say no to that. And I've built my business and academic schedule around what energizes me. Like in my academic job, notice that I'm a lecturer, not a tenure track professor. And it's not because I couldn't get that role. I got offer letters for 2 tenure track positions, but I chose the non-tenure track position because I love teaching. I love teaching more than I love research. So I was like, how amazing would it feel to get up every day and teach math, like teach the subject that I love to students every single day? And that energizes me. And that's something I knew I would never get tired of. So that's why I chose the job that I have. That's like a boundary that I created for myself. And also in my business, I know exactly how I want to work with people. So I set up my business to support me in that in the time that I have. So I don't think that like boundaries are like a luxury. Like, oh my goodness, you're so lucky to have boundaries. I feel like it's a requirement, like, especially if you want to thrive in both academia and in business, you have to have strong boundaries to thrive in both worlds. So, what I believe is if you have a business or you're running your business, I don't think you have to quit academia to be able to make your business grow. I don't think that at all. I think that you need a semester proof system that works with your academic schedule and not against it. So, what I'm saying today is, or my big takeaway for today is that I don't run a six-figure business because I work more. I definitely don't work more. I run a six-figure business because I built it to work, even when I'm busy doing the job that I love. I mean, it's the reason why I still have my job, even though I make less income from my lecturer position. I love doing it, and I like don't want to give it up. So I stopped chasing all of the strategies that are out there. I no longer take every course under the sun to learn about business. I just do the things that work. I started focusing on just the few things that actually drive income and impact in my business, which for me is strategic content that brings the people in, the simple systems that I use that helps guide the people to an offer that will be best for them, and then setting very, very clear boundaries that protect my energy and my time. And so I didn't like stumble into this like semester proof business thing. I designed it on purpose because I knew that if I was going to thrive in both academia and business, my business model had to be different than everyone else's. It couldn't be the same as someone who's trying to quit their 9 to 5. It couldn't be the same as someone who's doing a full-time business. It couldn't be the same as someone who just like had a side hustle, something they kind of dabbled in every now and then. It had to be something sustainable. While I am in my academic role. And so that's exactly what I help other academics do inside of my semester proof business course. And so it's where we build your business around your schedule, your gifts, and your real life goals. So it's not really it's like a one size fit all plan. And it's not made if you want to be like an influencer and like have unlimited time to work on your business. It's meant to be built with you in mind and the structure that you want for your life. So, if you are ready to start or stop. So like if you feel like you have to like restart your business every year, like when summer comes, it's like, now I'm gonna work on my business. And then the semester starts and you're like, I don't have time to work on my business. And then fall break or Thanksgiving break comes and you're like, now I'm gonna work on my business. And then finals come and you're like, oh, if I don't have time for my business. But then winter break comes, you're like, now I'm gonna work on my business. If you're tired of that, like starting over all the time and you're tired of feeling like tired of your business feeling like another job that you don't have time for, instead of like a path to the freedom and like the time and income freedom that you're looking for. And if you do crave structure, because I'm all about structure, clarity, and a plan that works for your specific life, you should definitely check out the semester proof business course. So inside of the course, you get my full framework that will help you build your business in just 5 hours a week. Like the operations part of your business will take 5 hours or less. Inside there are templates, there are systems and workflows that are just already ready made for you to plug into your life. And you don't just do it alone. You also get a one-on-one call with me to personalize everything that you learned for your unique academic rhythm, life, goals, all of these things. So enrollment is open for the semester proof business course. Go to drtoyinalli.com/course. And you can jump right in and start building that business that supports the life that you actually want. And so I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the chat here, but you should be able to see it on the screen as well. And then that is where I will end our chat for today. If you have questions about the Semester Proof Business course, just let me know. Send me a DM, send me an email, a message, and I'm happy to answer it, or just comment on this video as well. All right, this recording will live on my YouTube channel, so if you aren't already there, the channel is the Dr. Toyin Alli YouTube channel. All right, I will chat with you next week about the same thing, but maybe go a little bit deeper. All right, and I will see you then. Bye.